We're live on the Jeff Nosine podcast. I am your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on today Ryan Hudson. What is up, brother?
What's going on? Yeah, it's Ryan Hudson Peralta, full name. I get
Peralta.
it's a mouthful. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it,
Thanks
love
for
it.
having me.
Where are you based out of?
Detroit, Michigan.
So you're right across the border. We're in Toronto, Canada.
Okay, yeah. I'm like
So you were born and raised in Detroit?
Yeah, and I work downtown Detroit, and I can see Canada out the windows of my office every single day. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you've been across the border more than once?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, been to Canada. My great grandma actually she's French Canadian. She grew up in Belle River, so I'm
very cool.
Partially French Canadian. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I had no clue about that. So let's talk about Ryan growing up. Like, let's talk about your childhood. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother. Yeah,
older or younger?
He's older. He's like 16 months older than me.
Okay, so yeah. let's talk about your obviously growing up with your disability, how you kind of interacted and how your confidence level and let's talk about you as a child, because I think it's an interesting topic, because anybody going through anxiety or issues right now, or stress or slightly inverted, it's something that is so inspiring of what you've accomplished, right? So I want them to have some form of inspiration of what you were able to get through and how you got there. So let's talk about you as a child. Like, how was your childhood?
My childhood was amazing. My parents, I actually had that's why I have two last names. My grandma and grandpa lived across the street from me, and they were like second parents to me, and their son wasn't going to have any kids. So I was like, my parents and all of us decided that we wanted to take my mom's maiden name, my grandpa's last name, and so I could carry that on to my children, and that's why I have the long, drawn-out Ryan Hudson Peralta name. But yeah, my childhood was great. I mean, there was times that I started feeling sorry for myself, and my parents like pushed me in the right direction. They gave me enough space to feel sorry for myself a little bit, but also say, hey, you have these things going for you. You can do anything you want. You're doing, you have the great personality. You can make people laugh, and they just push me in the right direction. And honestly, there's things in my childhood that I might have blocked out, but not because of anything my parents did wrong. It was just a way for me to deal with certain things and being born this way. And my son and I had to talk about that the other day. It was just like, you don't have to live with something that's bothered you or hurt you in your life. You can store it away, And so I did that with certain things. Like I never had to worry about people bullying me, because my parents, or my mom, she always says that God didn't give you fists, He gave you a mouth. She used to call me the mouth, because I could verbally destroy somebody in sex. Like, my comebacks are quicker than anybody. So I never had to worry about bullying or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, I had as much as a regular childhood as anybody else could have, but there was just things I did differently and things that I couldn't do.
When it came to school, how was the interaction when you started school and all that stuff like that? And I love that you said that, because my son was born. I'm going to give you a quick little two things. My son was born and he was diagnosed with CP, cerebral palsy, and I never allowed that to set his course. And I kind of really put in my mind I was going to make him overcome that, and we have in many ways. So everything your parents did was amazing. Like, just hearing that story, because you always hear the parents that have children with a disability, and they have that guilt or neglect to them because they feel like they guilt them. And when you hear a parent like myself, and your parents that just overfill with love and confidence and belief, what could happen with it, which is so inspiring, right? So I commend that, and I commend obviously the rest of your family for doing everything they've done for you and the man they've turned you into. So going through school, how was your interaction with our children? Like, how just give me that mindset of just how you kind of, like you said, fit in, started your day-to-day process with school and going all the way through. And where did you go to school?
I went to school in Detroit for up until third grade, I believe. It was funny because this is a joke, but it was called White. It was called White, or White School, and I always tell people, I joke and said, I thought the school was named after me because I was the only white kid there. But yeah, so I went to mainstream schools, mainstream classes my entire life. And I, interacting with people, I've never had a problem with that, because a lot of people tell me, and they, I always say, like, I don't want my disability to define who I am. And honestly, after meeting me and seeing all the things I do, people forget that I have a disability. My wife still sometimes will come up to me and try to hand me something, like I can grab it. And, it's like people that I live with, they forget about it. So people I meet in person, yeah, they see me that I have missing arms and I have short legs. But once they realize all the things I can do, and my storytelling capabilities and my humor, it just kind of makes the other stuff disappear. So I've never had a problem with meeting kids, hanging out with, meeting new kids, hanging out with them when I was younger, meeting new people now. I mean, I meet new people every day.
So when did you take your story, and what age did you start really understanding that you had a gift with your personality, with your, obviously, your confidence and your smile? Like, when did that click in your mind that you had to start inspiring other people and start spreading the word?
Yeah, I don't remember what exact age. I think I'd say around 8, maybe 9 years old.
That young, huh?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that young. Yeah, I came home from school and I was crying, and when I was born, see, I was always that God did this to me. This was my disability was an act of God, because my mom didn't do any drugs. She didn't even take an aspirin or a Tylenol when she was pregnant with me. So they called it an act of God because they can't explain it. It's not genetic. It wasn't anything. And so I grew up kind of hating God. I was like, why did God do this to me? Because you tell somebody that God did this to you your whole life, and as a kid, you don't realize that's not how they meant it, but that's how I took it. And so I was not a big fan of God, and I was kind of I was mad at him. And then I realized, like I said, around 8 or 9 years old, that what God gave me was a gift, like the gift to be able to break the ice by people wanting to look at me. Right? They want to look at me. They want to talk to me. They want to hear my story, ask me what's wrong, and not only that is my humor. I can make people laugh and inspire them. So I turned my disability, my adversity, into what I call a superpower today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So so when you did have that moment and you started, obviously, really, really honing in, did you see that as a future for you? Like, what are you doing right now? Or was there other goals you had? Like, obviously, Dave Stevenson, for example, like we're talking about it, like he played pro ball for 3 weeks, like on a pro team. Like, he had all these ambitions of being a pro athlete, and that passion for sports turned him into ESPN, 7 Emmys, like this crazy career, which is anybody, doesn't matter disability or not, could look up to and be like, wow, look at this guy's accomplished, right? Where was your mindset when you started getting into, like, where do you, the long story of the question is, where do you see yourself going with this? Like, where do you want to inspire? Do you want to push towards more athletic sports, like teaching, inspiring? Is it more towards schools? Like, where do you want to go with this?
Well, I've been doing it I'm 43 years old. I've been speaking to groups and schools and everything since I was 15.
You're 40. How old are you?
I'm 43. I'm 43 years old.
I'm 45, buddy. I honestly thought you were in your late 20s.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I hear that a lot. My son is just turned 21, and we'll go out to eat somewhere, and they always think like we're friends. So they're like, "You want separate bills?" I'm like, "I wish my son would pay." They're like, "What? This is your son?" And yeah, so I don't know.
He's 21, so you're 43. So you even had him quite young.
Yeah. Yep.
How old were you when you had? Because I'm 45. My daughter's 16. My son's 14. So you're 20.
I just turned 22.
So you're still a baby too. You're quite young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How was that, being that young as a father? Was it planned, or was it obviously you love it, and you're doing amazing at it?
Yeah. Oh, it was planned.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we weren't married at the time, but I wanted to. She has a daughter from a previous relationship who she's been calling me dad since she was 5 years old. Her dad wasn't in the picture.
Yeah.
And so I love being a dad. I was already a dad to Miranda. And I told Carrie, I was like, let's have a baby on our own. And, before Miranda gets too old, she was think she was like 7 or 8 when Noah was born, 7 or 8. And I said, let's have a baby. And she said, yeah, let's do it. And the doctors wanted us to go see a geneticist and all this. And they said, because it could, they told your parents it wasn't genetic, but back then they didn't know. And I was like, listen, if it'll make the doctors feel better, make my wife feel better, I'll do it. My wife's like, I don't care if our baby comes out born like you. But I told her, I said, it's not going to happen. It's not possible. Like, I just knew it, we went to the geneticist and they said, yeah, it's not genetic. And I already knew that, but it didn't matter to me. And I didn't need that. It was just, to make other people feel better about it or whatever. No matter what, what they said, it was still going to happen. And my son was born October 18th, 2001 with 10 fingers and 10 toes. And I cried like a little baby.
I love it. 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 I mean, that's go. Sorry.
And as you're a parent, as you know, like I can talk about anything and not cry. If I talk about my 2 children, it gets me choked up because not only am I, proud to be their dad, but I'm proud of both my kids.
Yeah, same as here. I'm the dad. Like my daughter's 16, my son's 14. I still drive them to school every morning. I pick them up. They're my workout partners. We go to the gym together every day. So I mean, nice. Yeah, I'm very, very close to my kids. So I love that. What does fatherhood mean to you? I don't know if anybody's ever asked you that.
That's a great question. I mean, if you asked me what it meant, let's go back to me being a child again.
Yeah.
I was a tough person. My mom always said, you don't have to be the tough guy, but it was just how I had to be build up the confidence I have and be that person I was. So when my daughter came into the picture, I was still that tough guy, and I was trying to like figure out how to break down and show her that she doesn't have to be tough all the time. I would tell her, hey, it's okay. It's okay to cry. And here she sees me not crying at all, being the tough guy when it comes to things. So when my son was born, I was like, I really, had to figure out how to be the tough guy in my life, but also be, the soft guy when it comes to my kids and teach them. And like I said earlier, you had to have my parents push me, but they gave me the space, to feel sorry for myself just a little bit. They never let me get too far, and so I had to figure that out on my own. Because as I got older and older, I was never feeling sorry for myself. You'll never catch me feeling sorry for myself, and so I needed to make sure my kids knew that it was okay to be emotional and feel sorry for themselves a little bit, but I also had to push back and let them know that they have a lot of great things going on in their life. So being a parent for me is leaving a legacy. My kids mean everything to me. Everything I do to this day is for them. And I mean, and then past 5 years ago, I started mentoring kids that were born like me. So I'm not their parents, but I'm teaching them things that I've learned, in my past 43 years of my life, how to brush your teeth, how to swim differently, how to get dressed, and how to do all these things. And I call those things the cheat code. And so not only, my kids got to see me do those things with them and do those things in my life, but now I shop with other kids that are born like me.
How amazing is that when you see a child, when they could look up to somebody that's obviously been through what they were about to go through and have that inspiration? Like, do you keep in contact with these kids after, or is it a short period you're with them?
Absolutely. No,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I actually have it's not only kids that are born like me. Those are the ones I mentor and teach the things that I've learned, but I also mentor kids that have other disabilities. I actually am calling Connor is his name. It's his birthday today. He has cerebral palsy. I'm going to be calling him this afternoon to wish him a happy birthday. But yeah, we contact. I do FaceTime calls and all that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Your wife, when did you meet your wife?
I met my wife in 1999. It was like December 1999.
Okay. So you guys are 23 years roughly together.
We've been together. Yep. Been together for 23 years. Yeah.
Was it love at first sight? Like how did that all work?
Absolutely. I told my friends that night, I said, I'm going to marry that girl. And they've said that about other girls, but I've never said that about any girls. And they're like, oh, because I was like, man, I really like this girl. When I said that, they were like, oh, well, we've never heard Ryan say that before. So you must mean it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. When did you guys get married? How long ago?
We got married in 2009. We waited a long time. I
That's
was doing
fine.
freelance design work and speaking, and I was like, it was just the right time in 2009, and we got married. And yeah,
What does your wife mean to you?
my wife is she's incredible. She's an artist. When we first met, see, I've been doing art and design my entire life, and when we
What
first
form of
met,
art? What form of art and design? Sorry to jump in there. Do you do
so
like
I'm
just
a my
graphics?
by trade I'm a user, and I'm the principal product designer for Rocket Mortgage, the Rocket family of companies. Um, so I've been doing design and graphic design, app design for, man, longer than I know my wife. So since I was 16 years old.
I love it. I
So a
love it.
long time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I always told her, I would draw, and she'd be like, wow, that's amazing. You're drawing like that. You can do so good. And I'm like, I've seen her draw, and I was like, you're an artist too. And she's like, no, no, I'm not. And I saw how creative she was. And it wasn't until maybe 10, 10 years ago, 15 years ago that she started, doing art. And now she has her own business and she sells art, and she's just so creative. And I always remind her, I was like, remember when you said you weren't an artist? And
What form of art does she do? Like, is it more paintings? Is it drawings? Is it
it's
graphical?
it's painting and a lot of like mixed media. So like she'll like cut out paper and do things. She does some things on the computer too, but I feel like her passion is like painting and
Fast forward. Let's I guess the elephant in the room behind you, the sneakers. Let's talk about that a bit. Let's talk about sneakers. Talk about a hat. I saw you got your hat deal and all that, which I love because I'm a sneaker guy. I'm a hat guy. That's two things you always see me in a hat and a nice pair of sneakers on. When did your passion for sneakers start? How did that all start?
so when I was a kid, my friends got to wear rings on their fingers and bracelets on their wrists, and I didn't have a way to like express myself. So I got into fashion. I want, at a young age, I wasn't, so fashionable, but I was always like into sports, into baseball. I coached baseball when I was 12 years old, and I coached my brother's team with my dad. And so baseball hats was just natural thing to do, but you couldn't wear those in school. So I turned to sneakers, and Air Jordans. Jordans have a million different colorways, and I had any as I could. My parents would let me, and I would save up and buy sneakers. And every birthday it was family members giving me a new pair of sneakers. So I have
Do
around
you wear them or you
four.
just store them?
I wear them all.
Okay. There's a lot of people that store them, right? Collection wise
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
So you do wear them all and stuff like that, and you obviously keep them pristine and all that.
Well, the good thing is I don't walk on them, so
Yeah,
they don't get used. Like the bottoms are always good.
yeah,
And so and some
yeah.
people will look at them, they're like, "Are these dead stock?" And I'm like, "No, I've worn them." So yeah, I have around 400 or 500 pairs of shoes and somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 hats.
That many hats too.
Yeah,
That trumps my collection. Is there a specific style of hat? Like, do you go for a certain sports or just the look, just the if it catches your
um,
eye?
mostly fitted hats. I would say 99% of my collection is a fitted baseball hat.
Yeah.
But as far as style, I grew up loving the LA Dodgers when I was a kid, so I
Okay.
have majority of my collection is Detroit Tigers and LA Dodgers hats. But I have every team. I mean, I have probably my fourth most uh, bought team is probably, I would say, the maybe the fourth or fifth is probably the Blue Jays, because I love the Blue Jays logos. It's a good one. One of my favorite Blue Jays logo is the T with the bird, and he's like flexing his muscle. That's
They
a good
only
one.
used that for a year, maybe a year, 2 years. That was the Vernon Wells to the era. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they have a lot of hats with that on it now, and they sell out
yeah,
quick.
yeah. So I'm assuming you're a baseball fan.
Oh yeah, I love baseball. Yep.
Were you sad that you saw your Dodgers leave that quickly?
Yeah, I was pretty sad. But so growing up, one of my last names is Peralta. I always had the Phillies P on my hat, and I was also a Phillies fan. It would go Dodgers if it was.
Do you think they have a chance this year?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It'll be so honestly. I'm looking at Harper, and I mean, this just put a little clip on. I mean, the guy had a great career. I mean, he was rated from such a young kid to be a superstar, and
Yeah.
him making to the World Series and on that big contract. If the team didn't get this far, there will always be this. I kind of like a little hashtag by his name, like he never made it to that. So I'm so happy he did it. I'm so happy. And the way he's playing too, it's
Oh
incredible,
yeah,
incredible
yeah.
playoffs. Man, so I'm cheering for Philly, right? You'll always love the underdog story, right? So I'm cheering for
Oh yeah,
Philly and the Astros, and because everything the Astros, I guess, went through with the garbage can tapping and all that crap years
yeah,
ago. They're almost like
yeah,
they're almost like the bad guys, right? So you want
yeah.
to see Philly win. That's it starts on Friday, so I'm actually excited. So this podcast will obviously be aired but a week or two after, so it'd probably be done by the time the World Series is done. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually excited to see what Philly could prove and see if they could actually make it all the way. That'd be pretty amazing.
All right, my prediction, since it's gonna be aired afterwards, Phillies in 5. There you go.
I would love that. I would actually want that. I would actually want that. They're
Yeah,
so easy to cheer for, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
absolutely.
Love it. So are you a Tigers fan too?
Yeah, yeah, I like the Tigers. Not really happy what they're doing with the team right now, but that's a whole nother discussion. Um, yeah, I think at the '84 World Series, I was there
You were
in the
there.
crowd. I was there. Yeah, I was there. So Larry Herndon used to play for the Tigers in the '80s,
Yeah.
and his daughter was born just like me. And my parents reached out to him, or they reached out. I don't remember. Obviously, I was 5,
Yeah.
but he got his tickets. And before the game, if you actually if you go on YouTube, the video's there. The national anthem before the last game. There's a little boy, and then they show the little boy, American flag, and the president, and that little boy is me. My uncle's holding me in his arms. So that was it was incredible. To be a part of the
That's pretty
'84 World
amazing.
Series. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That was Jack Moore. I mean, they had a strong team back then. Jack Morris and Trummel, they had some really incredible players back then. And Jack Morris ended
yeah,
up coming to the Blue Jays and helping them win the World Series later on too, right?
yep, yeah.
That's pretty, very cool. You were 5, you said?
It was '84. Yeah, I was 5.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Your parents, give me an understanding of what your parents mean to you, and obviously, I'm assuming you're a mama's boy, just like me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if it's that whole tough guy thing. I mean, I call my mom every day, so I guess you can call me a mama's boy. But I
I'm the same
know,
here.
yeah, I guess I'm a mama's boy. Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. My mom. I always say my dad taught me the meaning of hard work and supporting your family, and my
Yeah.
mom taught me, what it's like to love and show love and love people. And
So
yeah,
you had a nice balance there.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When it comes to, I saw one of your videos of driving, and you're showing the how you drive. When did you start learning how to drive, and like when you're looking at all those, when you're dealing with a vehicle with so much modification, like they get, I'm sure, I don't know if insurance goes through that could get very expensive. I'm assuming because everything's very customized to you. How did it all come together? You get your own vehicle like that.
Yeah, it's very expensive. My first vehicle, just the modifications alone were $50,000.
Wow.
So when I was 16 years old, I went to the Secretary of State and I said, I wanted the Secretary of State is the DMV. I don't know what you guys call it in Canada, but
Yeah, it's DMV. Same here. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I said, I want to drive. And they said, well, it's not really going to be possible because there's not a vehicle. You have to do driver's training in a vehicle that's set up for you, and there is none. And I said, well, challenge accepted. And I looked into it, and yes, there wasn't no pedal system designed for me or designed for anybody with the short legs as I have and the steering set up. And there was a company that was probably, I don't know, 20 miles from my house that were just starting up, or they were around for a while, but they were doing different things. And I met with them, and we came up with a number, and they said I need to come up with $50,000 plus to buy the vehicle. And I was 16 years old, and
Wow.
my friends are driving, and I'm on a mission to raise money and get a vehicle. And so my parents helped me get the vehicle. I did have a job. I was selling my art and stuff then, but the 50,000 was tough. So we had some fundraisers with the Detroit Red Wings. I got some money from the state of Michigan. There's an organization that when people are working, if they need money to drive, they'll help pay for it. So they offset a lot of the costs. And it was like just after my 19th birthday, I started driving, but it wasn't easy. mean, not only did I have to raise the money, I had to prove to so many different people that I could do it. I had to do regular driver's training with a trainer. Then I had to do 2 different driver's tests from the state, and just to show that I can drive and turn and do all that. And it's funny because I'll post a video of me driving and people are like, immediately, there's thousands and thousands of positive comments, but you get these people saying like, oh, this should be illegal. You're going to kill somebody. You're going to kill yourself. And I've been driving for over 22 years. Right. So
I still, when you say that number, like I look at you, I swear to God, you look like a little baby face still. So let's talk about that. I mean, like all the positivity in the world, there's always going to be trolls on the internet and just people just being shits. How do you block those? Do you just avoid them? Do you just like comment back? Because obviously you have that tough image. Like, how do you react to people when they're just being behind a computer being a-holes? How do you react to that? Because everybody gets that, whether you have a disability or don't. You always, if you're trying to bring some positivity in the world, you're always going to get people they're just miserable with their life, trying to bring other people down, right?
Yeah. So this is something I learned as a kid. Like, if you don't love me and you don't care about me, I don't really care what you think about me. And so the only time that I used to reply to people, like someone would say something, and I would start to say something about their mom, and then I would just delete the comment. And the only reason why I delete the comments is because people love me and they see it, and then they can be hurt. Like if my mom's seen some of the comments, she might be hurt by it, so I delete it. I don't want my mom to see it. They don't hurt all those people. Those people, trolls, don't mean anything to me. They want me. They want it to mean something to me. They want it to hurt me, and I don't let them. It's just noise to me. You can't control noise, but you can control how you deal with noise, and I choose to ignore it.
I think that's a great mindset. I mean, that's a great mindset. And then just that little, I'm going to use that as a little clip. I mean, it's so powerful when you said that. It's simple, but it's very powerful because a lot of people have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
Right. It's very easy to say, but you really have to master it, right? You have to, because you do have feelings and emotions, and what other people say or think could really affect how you react to stuff, right? So I love that you said it's just noise. It is just that. It is just that. And it's that simple. If people can learn that, I think we'd be in a better world altogether, right?
Yeah, and I do that to the best of my abilities to teach people how to change their mindset. Of, like I said, if once you realize that people don't matter unless they care about you or love you, like what their thoughts about you don't matter. I mean, once you start realizing that, then your life changes. And it's not something that happens overnight, but I work with a lot of people that I help them realize that.
When you started, obviously, being able to pass those messages along and start helping people, where's your mindset with, like, for example, like our youth nowadays with the last 2 years of the pandemic and being at home and being in front of a computer and being cyberbullied and all that stuff? Give me a message to everybody like that is going through a moment like that, whether they're insecure themselves or they have a disability or their confidence levels down. Like, give me something to let them know that everything's gonna be okay, kind of thing.
I mean, just go on my Instagram and see, and just imagine what you're dealing with. Imagine that those same things happened to me as a kid and growing up, and they still happen, bullies and trolls, right? And then realize that if I can get through it, being 3'6", no arms, short legs, unable to walk, then anybody can do it. Just if something's hurting you, if social media is hurting you, then get off of it, right? If you want to be on social media, make a private account, still post your things, maybe just post it to then only allow certain people in your life, and until you can realize that, hey, there's mean people out there, then start opening it up. And when you realize, hey, there are mean people out there, but what they think of me doesn't matter, then start opening it up but you need to realize that first. There's so many people that just jump into social media. I know people that they posted a video of them doing something and they have a disability, and they got a huge following. But when you get a huge following, there's negativity that comes along with that. There's people that'll follow you just to be a troll.
Yeah.
And you just need to realize that, like, it's tough. Imagine what celebrities deal with. Yes, they get paid lots of money, but they get heckled in public. They get heckled. There's photographers that chase them around just to try to find them doing something wrong. And just if you want to be in the public eye, you have to toughen your mindset up and realize that, like I said, if someone doesn't love you or care about you, what they think about you doesn't matter.
When you came up, and I'm looking at your ad and then from your social media handle, like "Look, Mom, No Hands." When did you come up with that, and how did people react when you came up with that? Because it is catchy. Like, just be honest, it's fucking, it's catchy as hell, right? I mean, the first thing
Yeah,
I think, look, I think you're doing like a trick shot or something like that. It's the first thing
yeah,
when I hear that name, right?
exactly. So I'm sure you said that before, right?
Yeah.
One time in your, I
Oh,
think
100%.
I
Yeah.
would say 99% of the world has said, "Look, Mom, no hands" at one point in their life
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah.
And that when I was a kid, my mom would take me to parks or like carnivals or with rides and amusement parks, and I would go on a ride, and people stare at me,
Yeah.
and I would look, I would put my arms up and say, "Look, Mom, no hands," and then they didn't know whether to laugh, turn around, snicker, walk
Yeah.
away, whatever,
Yeah.
and it just always stuck,
So this
and
started from
so
a very young age saying that.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I've had the document for I think since 1996. And I've had the Instagram since Instagram's been. Someone else had it, and I got it off them early on, though.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Did you trademark it?
Yeah, I have a trademark. Yeah, Look, Mom,
Very,
No
very,
Hands is a
very.
trademark. Yeah,
I
I
love it.
also I have two trademarks. Look, Mom, No Hands, and the other one is Don't Be Your Own Speed Bump. And the meaning of that is the only thing in life that can stop you or slow you down is yourself. So don't be your own speed bump. I just did a talk with the team over at Victoria's Secret. It was so cool because when I brought that up, the comments just started blowing up, and it was really cool because I think I got like 10 or 20 orders. People ordered the "Don't Be Your Own Speed Bump" T-shirts off my website.
I
So that
love
was
it. I
really
love it.
cool.
We're gonna
Yeah,
spread all that. I was gonna ask you that. So you do apparel with those sayings on and all that stuff, right?
yeah. I do.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so catchy, right? And just
Yeah,
anytime you could get a visual of something, it just has so much more meaning to it, right?
right. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that. So you got a cap. You said I saw also one of your posts. I was going through your post and I saw you got a cap deal, which is pretty cool. How did all that all come about?
So because I have so many hats, I'm pretty big in the hat community, and I've been always wanting my own hat with my logo on it, and I'm actually wearing it right now. This is my logo's on. That's my Look Mom No Hands logo,
Yeah,
and the other logo is the silhouette of me. It actually looks a lot similar to the Major League Baseball logo,
yeah.
according to Major League Baseball.
Oh, seriously? They came after you for
Yeah.
that?
So I sent them. There's another logo back there. I don't know if you can see it, where there was white filled in.
Yeah. So I thought that was a Major League Baseball logo. That's not.
No, that's what they thought too. And so Albert Pujols, I'm not sure if you know who Albert
Of
Pujols
course,
is.
yeah, of course, yeah.
So I sent him my hats, and he wore it. And someone reached out to me from Major League Baseball, and they're like, "Hey, we love what you do, but we need to change up your logo. So we want to be able to approve it so you can actually get hats made by New Era, which is the biggest.
Yeah,
They
of
make
course,
all the
yeah,
fitted."
yeah.
And so I worked with them, and I came up with the outline logo of my logo, and actually I like it better.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I'll be honest. The whole time when I first started seeing you and I starting back there, it's the colors. I mean, like, let's go back to that. So when you first came on, when I just had glance because the colors, I just assumed that was a Major League logo, and that's why I was like, oh, he's a baseball fan. Like I didn't actually see it. Now that you're seeing, I can see the outlet of your hat and stuff.
Yeah.
Now I can see it's different. But there's that first glance because the colors. So I get what they were seeing with the color wise. So you actually worked with them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I worked with their trademark attorneys, and got it approved. They sent me a letter, and I can get hats made by New Era. And getting hats made by New Era is not easy.
No, it's not easy at all.
Yeah. And so there was a company actually in Canada. It's called Team Collective
I
Caps.
know who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you bought some hats from them. They are said, "Hey, let's do it, Ryan." Well, because you need a New Era account.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get a New Era account to do it. So they had the hats produced, and we sold them on their website, and we sold a lot of hats. I don't know the exact number, but yeah,
it's a catchy logo. It's a catchy logo. So I mean, any cap guy is gonna buy just for the look of it, right?
Yeah, I still get DMs literally 2-3 times a week saying, "Hey, when's your next hat coming out? Or do you have any extras?" And I don't. They sold out.
So you only made a limited run of them?
We made a limited run. Yep. And then, but I'm working with some other stores around the United States. Like the locker room of Downey in LA.
Yeah.
We're gonna do an LA colorway, a Dodgers colorway, maybe a USC colorway, and then I'm gonna be working with other stores in different states and do colorways of the state, like the team
Yeah, yeah.
in their
Very,
state.
very,
Yeah.
very, very, very cool. What about sneaker? Is that a long-term goal of yours to have your own sneaker?
Oh, I would love to have my own sneaker. Yeah, I'd love to have Air Jordan, a Jordan sneaker for sure. It'll happen one day.
I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at
Yeah.
all. I'm surprised you don't. So you never. So the new era contract. Were you not able to build a network with them to do your own hats directly through your site?
Not yet. I'm working on that.
Because you
New
have a
Era
big
will
enough. You have a
collab.
big enough following that you should be able to work with them. I know they're going
Yeah,
to want a minimal of orders, but I mean, you should be able to handle that. It's not crazy. I mean, I know two or three guys locally that have new era contracts for their brands, and I mean, the quantity numbers are not crazy, right? With their ordering, so I'm sure you could probably do that.
I would say 5 years ago, I would already have New Era. If my deal with the MLB approval would have went through 5 years ago, I would already had a New Era contract. The problem right now is New Era's hats are problem might be bigger than sneakers. They sell out instantly when stores drop them. It's
Yeah,
slowing down a little bit, but I mean, someone will release a Dodgers hat or a Blue Jays hat, and it'll sell out quick.
yeah, and the price of them have gone up crazy. Like you're paying
Yeah,
like
they.
you go to the
I
you go to
remember.
the fitted stores here, and they're like $55 a cap now.
Yeah,
Canadian. Like it's
and
crazy.
yeah.
We used to buy them for like 25, $27. And the other day I went with my son. My son loves caps too, and I got him another cap. We both bought one each, and it was like 50. I think it was like $54 a cap for the
Mm,
New Era J hats. I was like, oh my god, this is way more than it used to be.
yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Supply and demand. I mean, the demand is way high right now. So, if you go to New Era's website, there's you can find some good deals on some hats. Like I always tell people, like some people don't have a lot of money, they want to get into hats, and they're always asking. Like my son's pretty big in fashion and hats. He's big on TikTok, and they'll ask him like, "Hey, what should I buy? What should I wear?" And we always tell people like, "Wear what you want, wear what you like, no matter what it is. It's you. Like just be you." And I always tell people that like, don't try to be somebody else because you're not going to be somebody else.
So when you are doing your speech, you said Victoria's Secret. What other companies have you worked with?
Well, I do a talk with the Rocket family of companies once a month at an event called
Yeah,
ISMS Day,
yeah.
and the crowd ranges from 500 people to thousands of people. I spoke in front of a Tony Robbins crowd before.
When,
And I
when,
worked with
when, how long ago was that?
that was 2019.
2019. So when you're like, I mean, public speaking is something I'm comfortable, but there are quite a few people that obviously public speaking is something they're very uncomfortable. I think is one of the biggest, if not the biggest fear for most people. When you first started to doing that, how was your first experience speaking in a big crowd?
So the first talk I did, I think I was 16 years old. It was at a local news station, and there were journalism students. And I had they just said, "Hey, would you like to come speak to journalism students?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And I get there, and I kind of like hear a lot of people, but I didn't see how many people were in there. And I go up the ramp to go on the stage, and there's 1,500 journalism students there. And honestly, I
you're
feel
still a
like,
baby at 16.
and I'm still 16 years old. Yeah. And I feel like, just like anything, if you want to go do it, you just got to do it. And I
Yeah.
feel like someone pushed me in the pool and I just taught myself how to swim because that's exactly what happened. I mean, I knew the story I was going to tell, didn't really know how to express myself in front of that many people, but I did pretty damn good and it went really well. And I got a bunch of speaking jobs after that. And then I took a little break after my son was born because I was traveling and I didn't want to travel so much, and my kids were growing up and I didn't want to be gone. So I took a break up until maybe till he was like 16, 15, 14, no, maybe till he was like 13, and then when he was like 15, 16, he would be able to go on trips with me. And so that's been really cool. And now he wants to get speaking too, and we're actually going to do a podcast with just me and him. and talk about, that father son, how we deal with things. And there's actually a couple of schools that reached out to us that want us to talk, me and him together. So I'm really excited about that.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years, right? I mean, and I've been always on my own, and I run a couple of companies and all that. And one of the aspects of me starting this podcast and public speaking, anything I've done over the last while, a lot of it has to do with my son's story, and I want him to be able to step on stage and tell his story. And it's kind of setting a platform. And I wrote a book called Entrepreneurial Dad back there, and I wrote a couple of children's books and stuff. And the whole idea is just to kind of lay a foundation or a pathway for him. So I love that you're doing it with him. That's something I want to do eventually. He's still only 14, but that's something I want to eventually do in a few years, to start that path with him. So I love that you're doing that. When are you guys starting this podcast?
I don't know. Actually, it's really cool because I had a couple sponsors say, "Hey, whatever you want to do, just let us know." So they're going to buy some equipment for us, and we're going to do it. So I get asked. I'm sure Simon told you. I get asked to be on podcasts like daily.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Everybody, it seems like everybody has a podcast. And I told my son's name is Noah, and I was like, "Noah, do you really want to do a podcast?" Everybody has a podcast. He's like, "Okay, if you can find one podcast like we would be doing," he's like, "then we don't have to do it." And I was like, "Okay." And then I realized, I'm like, wow, he's actually right. Like, nobody has our story. And I tell people this all the time. It's like, when you're dealing with something, so many people think to themselves, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? And they don't realize that there's millions of people that are dealing with the same exact thing. Like, I know thousands of kids that are born like me. There's kids all around the world that, have born with CP, and, parents of people with CP. And so everyone has a story to tell, and people are dealing with it. So the sooner you can start sharing your story and letting other people know, hey, I'm dealing with that too, or going through something, or living this way, I think the better. So we're definitely going to do it soon.
Yeah.
And
with the podcast world, it's this, I mean, I've been a guest on about 100, 120 podcasts in the last couple of years. And then at recording wise, I think you might be number 200 or 199 or 200. You're around that. And it's just consistency. Yeah. I would say there's rumors out there saying there's 8 million podcasts in this world, but how many are really active? I know so many people start a podcast and 3 months in, they don't get the viewership they want. They don't understand it's a long-term game, and you got to build up. Like our numbers are pretty crazy right now, but we've built up to that, right? We get the guests on. We rarely ever reach out to people. Like I reached out to your guys, but because I wanted to have you on, but usually it's people reaching out to us and trying to get on the show, right? So it's been it's pretty amazing that it's just consistency, and the numbers start happening and the following start happening. And I mean, we've hit, God, we're in the last 16 months, we've hit a little, just about around the 2 million download mark. Our Instagram accounts growing. I mean, our YouTube page, 12 months went up to 26. I think we're at 26,000 subscribers. Like it's a process. It's a growing process, right? You have to look at the long-term game, right? I mean, if you're looking at it just like in 3 months or 2 months, like I'm going to get all these followings, it's not going to happen that quick unless you have a huge celebrity name, or you just one post and you got millions of people watching you, right? So it's a long-term game. It's about, I mean, so you and your son are going to be successful. Just like I said, you have to be consistent with it. It's got to be consistent. Do you guys want to bring on guests, or just do your own story?
No, we'll definitely bring on guests. Well, I mean, maybe I told him the first couple was just like me ask him questions, him ask me questions, and yeah,
that's what we started off. But I started off just at the beginning, just pretty much chatting and talking about business and all that. And then it started as a business entrepreneurial podcast, bringing on entrepreneurs. And then it started bringing celebrities, and started bringing out, it is just bringing to people, kind of like the Joe Rogan experience, just trying to bring interesting people on, just have good conversations and learn about their kind of their mission and what they're trying to achieve and all that stuff like that. I have a couple more questions. I know we're time sensitive here. If something were to happen to you today, in a few words, how would you want to be remembered or described by your loved ones?
Wow, that's deep. How would I want to be remembered? Or how I think I would be remembered? How I want to be remembered?
Both. Do both.
Probably the same. Probably the same answer. I would say as someone that always put a smile on other people's faces and always tried to lift people up and bring people up, and I never gave up. I never gave up, and people would remember that me as the person that never gave up. And I think that's it. I think someone that always a good dad. definitely a good dad. I hear it all the time, and I love that's like my kids are the two, I've done a lot of amazing things in my life, and my kids are the two things I'm most proud of. So yeah, that's the short, quick answer.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Where could our audience see you and follow you and get a hold of you?
Yeah, on Instagram and YouTube, my username is Look Mom No Hands.
The best
My
line. I swear to God, that is the best handle possible. And it's not just always
thank you.
it's just catchy, right? It's just
Yeah,
somebody hears it once, they're gonna remember it, whether it relates to them or not. You're just gonna it locks in your head, right? So catchy.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and my website is also lookmomnohands.com.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And hopefully we'll see you and your son. Your son's name is
Noah.
Noah. Yeah, you said that, Noah. Hopefully you Noah. Do you guys have a name for the podcast already or no?
No, we're still working on that.
Hopefully sooner than later.
He's actually in Virginia right now, working. So when he comes back, we're gonna get on this thing and name it.
Literally, just get. Don't even worry about the name at the beginning. Just literally, I always say, just get the recording stuff out and start talking. Just record it. And
Yeah,
and the worst comes to worst, you guys get incredible clips and you can use for social media and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's true too.
It's
Yeah,
always all
you
that.
do them about once a month.
My podcast,
Yeah,
once a week.
once a week. Yeah,
You got to be consistent, buddy. You got to be consistent.
I told him we'll start once a month, and maybe we'll get to once a week. The great thing is, over my lifetime, the speaking events and all the people that I've worked with, I've got to meet and know some really great celebrities.
Yeah.
So I have a Rolodex or a contact list on my phone. I could just say, "Hey, I need you to be on our podcast," and they'd be on in a second.
Yeah, yeah. I would even do something where you could even you and your son to start off. Maybe you guys in a week record literally like 5, 6, 7 episodes and release them every once a week. You want to be consistent with it, especially at the beginning when you're trying to build your audience. I always tell people you want to release 3 or 4 at the same time at the beginning.
Okay.
That's the key to getting ready. Really, you're in the algorithm with Apple and all that. iTunes is literally releasing 3 or 4 at the beginning, and then trying to be consistent with it either once a week or minimal twice every bi-weekly. And it's just consistency, and always release on the same day, same time. It's just consistency because they like Apple, Spotify. They like the consistency, and then they start bringing you up on the algorithm, and you start bumping up there quicker, right? And then as your audience starts building, that'll help you build as well quicker as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, we'll definitely. I'm sure Noah is the research guy. He knows all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's super helpful. I'm gonna definitely let him know. Yeah, I like the idea of. I mean, like 1 week we do, 5, 6, 7 episodes, and and then start releasing them. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Last thing, I see the Philly hat. You're gonna pull it out from back there and wear it soon. I see it on the back there.
I had yesterday was Halloween costume day at work. I had the full Phillies uniform. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. I had the toe. I even had the Philly shoes. Yep.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been awesome, Ryan. I appreciate it. I appreciate taking your time, your busy schedule to come on. I'm sure we're going to keep connected, and we'll chat a little more afterwards. But this has been awesome, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Jeff.